everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday. Today we're going to do our yellow card analysis for the new spoilers that got released today for the Dragon Ball Super card game. And what I'm going to do in this video is last week I broke it into 3 videos. This week we have not that many extra cards that got released. I think it was only 3. And so for this video I'm going to combine both the leaders and the extra cards into one video. And that way we only have 2 videos this week. And so let's get right into it. Let's start. I'm super excited about these leaders, so I can't wait to start talking about them. All right, so first up is Metacooler. And Metacooler has a pretty cool auto ability that says when you place this card in the leader area, choose one Big Gete star from your deck and place it in the battle area in active mode. And he also has his Awaken. He awakens up forward, draws 2 cards. And so this is a really cool ability. This is similar to Broly, if you think about it that way. So like Broly, you know, he kind of needs his field card to really be effective, to really be viable. But the downside with Broly has always been that you have to have that card in your hand, or, you know, you have to use his father to go search the card on turn 2. And it makes that deck a little awkward. It makes it very reliant on that card. Now, Metacooler is the same way. Now, we don't know exactly what the full evolution of his card is going to be, but we do know that it's going to be very heavily reliant on this Big Gete star. And so what's really cool about this is it lets us, this front side just lets us go get it and put it in our deck, which is fantastic. It lets us also make it so we don't have to run one in our deck. We can just run one in unless there's a reason why we want to run multiples. And it makes it so it's very consistent, and it doesn't take up a lot of deck space, which is important in a 50 card deck game. Now what I want to do really quick, and it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but since this leader is so kind of heavily designed around this theme, I want to really quickly talk about Big Gete Star. Now Big Gete Star is a 1-cost filled card. If you're not familiar with what filled cards do, essentially they you play them out, and as long as you have no other field cards in play, it just comes into play and stays in play. And now currently there's no cards in the game that let you kind of take away that card or targets that card to get rid of it. Usually when it's out, it stays out. Now the only effect currently in the game that like really affects it is Broly's Awaken side. If it's the only thing you have left in the battlefield, you will have to sacrifice this due to his effect. But other than that, there's currently nothing in set 1 or anything that can deal with the field cards. And so anyway, so Big Gete Star, 1 cost. It says active main 1, any colored energy. Switch this card to rest and place 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. Choose up to 1 Metacooler with energy cost 2 or less from your drop area and play it. And as we get into the battle cards, we'll see how powerful this ability can be. But with Metacooler, this is kind of what he's designed around, right? He's set up to essentially play off of the drop area, which is extremely fun, extremely cool. And again, just having this card straight into play is extremely effective. You can literally just use it the first turn, which is really cool. So I like that a lot. His front side is very flavorful and opens up this new kind of play style, which is really important in a card game. Actually, a lot of players love playing off the graveyard, and so it's awesome to have this leader that kind of plays off the drop area. And so on his Awaken side, he awakens into Nucleus of Evil Metacooler Core, and it's 15,000 power, active made once per turn. If 3 or more of your Metacooler are in play, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. And then they also have an auto that says, when this card attacks, place up to 3 cards from the top of your deck in the drop area. Choose up to 1 Metacooler or Metacooler Core from your drop area and add it to your hand. Now, this is an awesome effect. This is, you know, in my opinion, much better than just drawing a card whenever it attacks, which is what most Awaken leaders do. This is just, it gives you so much information. It gives you so much options, which is fantastic. And it plays really well with the Big Gete Star. You know, you can do it first, put a card in, and then take another card out, and you get more cards into your drop area, which lets this, you know, siphon more cards and choose which cards you want. It's just very flavorful, a very awesome effect, and I'm super excited to start playing with this leader. Now, once we get into the battle cards, we'll see that he does have a lot of tools in this set. You know, not as many as, you know, he would if he was, you know, there was the Metacooler type cards in the second set. I'm sorry, in the first set. But this is an archetype that I can see evolving in future sets as well, and it's just extremely exciting to me. And so for all those reasons, I'm going to give Metacooler leader 3 stars. I am super excited about this leader, and I think he's going to be tons of fun to play with. And I just love the archetype. I love that they're bringing new archetypes into the game with these new leaders, which is super fantastic. Okay, moving on, we have just the regular cooler leader. 10,000 on the front. It says active main, once per turn, place up to 3 cards from the top of your deck in the drop area. if there was one or more Frieza clan among them, this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. And so this leader is similar to Metacooler. Instead of playing off of the Metacooler cards, it's going to play off of the Frieza clan archetype, which will be the first leader that actually plays off the Frieza clan. Now, we do have Frieza clan cards in set 1, and we do have them in set 2, so this leader is going to have a little bit more of cards to play with, except I don't think the effect is as powerful. Now, placing 3 cards from the top, put it into your drop area is very powerful. It's just, again, getting 5,000 off of that is, again, very powerful effect. But the downside is going to be here is that, the upside isn't as much as the upside, with Metacooler. The synergy isn't as synergistic. It's just a 5,000 power increase, which, again, is strong, but just not as powerful as some of the other effects we've seen. So let's go ahead and pop Cooler over to his other side here. And so Awakened side is a Cooler, leader of troops. It's 15,000 on the front side and has active main once per turn. Plays up to 3 cards from the top of the deck. I'm sorry, on top of your deck in the drop area. If there was one or more Frieza clan among them, this card gains 5,000 power for the duration of the turn, and has auto, draw a card. Again, keeps the same ability when he awakens. We've seen a couple leaders do this in set 2. And it's not really it's not really an increase in power, which I always think is kind of lackluster to me. Anytime I see a leader kind of keep that same effect on the front and back, again, unless that ability is super strong, it's just kind of a letdown to me. To me, this maybe should have been, maybe put more cards down, or maybe he gets, plus 5,000 for every Frieza clan that is revealed off the 3, so it really kind of, makes you want to do that. Again, that's probably too powerful, but something different, something, a Frieza from the first set, the Galactic Emperor Frieza, is a good example of this. How he'll ready 1 battle card on the first turn, on the front side, and then when he awakens 2. It's the same type of effect, but it gets stronger. Beerus is another good example of this, where he kills 2 or less, and then when he awakens, he does 3 or less. I like that kind of synergy. I like that evolution. It makes me feel like my leader is getting stronger. But again, getting 5,000 on the front, on the backside isn't a bad thing. It's very strong to be attacking with 20,000. It can really put a lot of pressure on your opponent. Again, the Frieza clan synergy is really neat. There are Frieza clan Cooler cards as well, and so that drop area synergy is still there, and so there is some cool stuff you can do with this. But in my opinion, this is kind of the hybrid of both set 1 type cards and the new set 2 like Frieza clan type cards. But since it's kind of like the hybrid, it's like jack of all trades, master of none, and so I feel like if you're wanting to run that drop area type synergistic deck, you'll just pick Metacooler. And if you want to run a more Frieza clan type synergistic deck, you're probably just going to stick with the Frieza's army cards, because almost all Frieza clans are also a Frieza army, and so again, it leaves this leader in kind of a weird spot. And because of that, I'm unfortunately going to give Cooler, leader of troops, a 1 star. But I do think it's still a good leader, guys. Just because I give these things 1 star doesn't necessarily mean like it's unplayable. If you want to play this leader, do it. It's awesome, but just it is going to be a little bit less strong as some of the other leaders. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to make this this leader viable than you would maybe other leaders. Okay, and finally, the last leader for this caller, and I'm so excited for this leader, I just can't tell you guys, is Chilled. And so auto here is, when this card attacks, play 1 Chilled's army token. And it says Chilled's army token has 10,000 power, and then at Awaken at 6 or less, draw 2 cards. Now, this is awesome. It has 2 things I'm extremely excited about. Number 1, token generation. It's always a fun archetype. Again, it's another archetype being introduced with set 2, which is awesome. It's great. It gives a variety of players a new kind of way to play the game. It gives them archetypes they like to play. And I know when I play Magic, everybody loved token decks. I mean, they always try to build those. And Chilled is for sure this type of leader, right? He's going to be built around this this token generation, which is fun. It's awesome. It's a good archetype to have in a card game. Now, there is a couple things unclear with this card, and actually, I'll get into that after. Let me talk about the backside, and I'll get into some of the rules and some synergistic problems that might occur with this. Okay, and so on the Awaken side, again, it only takes 6 to awaken. He awakens into Chilled, Harbinger of Destruction. Permanent, during your turn, this card gains 5,000 power, and then auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card, and play 1 Chilled's army token. So again, keeps that same base ability from the front side, but gains kind of a new exciting ability, which we'll talk about, which is he just gets plus 5,000 on his turn. Now, this is a big deal because the other 6 card awakening leader we've seen in this set was the androids, and they awaken at 6. That's super cool. But you know, they once they get to 4 life, they'll go up to 15,000, which kind of balances them out. And so what I mean by that is, like, as soon as they awaken, they're still at 10,000 until they get to 4 life, and then they evolve into 15,000 and become more of a traditional leader. Now with chilled will be 15,000 as soon as you flip him on your turn. However, on your opponent's turn, he always goes back to 10 power for the duration of the game. Like, he'll never be 15 on your opponent's turn, and that's a big downside. That's something to really keep in mind. This is a big balancing tool that Bandai has used to make chilled not as powerful. And trust me, you're gonna feel it, right? It's gonna be a huge downside. Now, one of the good things is, you know, we have cards that can take advantage of these tokens. Some of these cards even let the tokens combo for plus 5,000. So I think there's enough tools in yellow to keep chilled protected. However, I do think this is still a downside, you know, but we still have like Sensu Beans we can use. We have a lot of the blockers that were spoiled, stuff like Full Power Frieza. We still have a lot of options to be able to keep chilled protected, but just keep in mind that, you know, not having 15,000 on your turn is a big downside. Next thing I want to talk about is the token generation in general. Now, the tokens are we don't know a lot about them yet, right? We don't know their cost, for example, which is a big problem, right? If they are costed at 0, so if as a token, if they just cost 0, then there's a lot of weird interactions that could happen, and it could really make them weak whenever you compare them to cards like the Bardock and Awakening Son Goku that say, you know, kill up to X amount of, you know, a cost of a battle card. So for example, Son Goku says when you play him, you take up to 6 energy costs worth of battle cards, and then you kill them. Now, if all of Chilled's tokens are 0 cost, then essentially when you play him, he could just wipe the entire board. And that is something that could be a real downside with this deck. But again, we don't know how those work. We haven't seen the FAQ. We haven't seen the rules. We don't know. And until those things are kind of all ironed out, you know, we don't know exactly how powerful this token generation is going to be. But there is enough cards in this set and enough synergy that I think this is going to be a very powerful archetype, and it's something I'm very excited about. And for all those reasons, I'm going to give Chilled 3 stars, and I am extremely excited about this leader. Like I said, this might even be where I start my brewing for the next set. I mean, I'm just very excited about this. I think this could really be a powerful ability. Okay, and so now we're going to move on to the extra cards, guys. Now, like I said, we only have 3 extra cards to talk about, and we kind of already talked about Gete Star a little bit, and so we really only have 2 left. So, again, I'm going to try to go through these real quick, guys. I'm sorry if these videos are so long. I apologize. I'm always so excited when these come out. So, anyway, so let's move on. So, the first extra card is Darkness Eye Beam. Now, it's a 2-cost, 2 yellow extra card, and it says active main. Choose all of your opponent's battle cards and switch them to rest mode. Now, this is extremely a powerful effect, guys, and it really leads to a bunch of different things you can do. You can pair this with so many different cards, so many different effects, and really kind of take advantage of this card. And I think this is where yellow has always you know, been strong, is in their extra cards. They've always been very unique and very strong. Now, taking this card, for example, you can use it offensively by essentially resting all of their opponent's cards and then attacking through, right? So like if you need to get a couple of double strikers through or something to finish the game, this card will allow you to rest all the blockers, rest all the combo potential that your opponent might have, and then get through. This card's also good when comboed with other like cards that require your opponent to have rested battle cards. So for example, Mecha Frieza is a great example of something where you can, you know, play this in Mecha Frieza and essentially kill 2 cards off of that, which is, you know, a powerful effect. There's also the battle card with the red demon guy. I'll actually pop it up here somewhere so you guys know what I'm talking about. I just don't know his name, but he says when he comes into play, your opponent cannot unrest any of their battle cards on their next turn. So you can essentially play this out, rest all their guys, play him out, and then now they can't untap all their guys during their untap phase or whatever, which is a really cool synergy, a really cool thing you can do. There's also this synergy with the 7-drop Frieza that essentially is kind of like a board wipe, and so there's a lot of synergy with this card. This card isn't as straightforward as you might think, and you know, again, it's a very powerful effect, something I'm pretty excited about. I do think it is a little expensive, and you know, essentially a lot of these combos, while they sound very good, they do essentially add 2 costs to that card, and it's also going to leave you, vulnerable the next turn if you go through all these, jump on through all these hoops. So I think this card is very good. I'm very excited about it, but unfortunately, I'm still going to, kind of go the safe side with this card and give it a 2-star. Again, I think it's a very good card, something you should definitely be, look out for. I just don't think it's like, super overpowered. It's not a Sensu Bean type effect. It's not very strong. I must have in decks, so I'm going to give it a 2-star. Moving on, we're going to check out Death Razor. Death Razor is another 2-cost, 2-yellow threshold extra card. It has active main, choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. Now, this is, again, a very strong effect. This is an effect that, pairs very well with yellow. Yellow has Crusher Ball. Yellow has, things like King Cold, the 4-drop King Cold, that when it comes into play, he can tap something, or he can rest something, sorry. And so this is a good effect with them, and I think this is, again, just a very strong card. It's probably the best KO spell we have in the game. It has no restrictions. It just 2 energy kill something, which is very strong and can be very powerful. And so I think this is going to be a staple. I think we're going to see this in a lot of decks, especially more control decks. It's splashable. It doesn't require you to have a yellow leader or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, again, not really a whole lot to say about this card other than its effect is very strong. It's a very good card. And again, just be prepared for this. And something it's really hard to play around too. I mean, you can just attack with your leader during your turn if you're expecting this card maybe the next turn. But honestly, it's very unlikely that your opponent's not going to attack with something on their turn, right? And so because of that, this card's going to have tons of value, when used correctly. So again, Death Razor, awesome card. I'm going to, give it 3 stars and say definitely check out this card. It's a fantastic card. And then lastly, we're going to talk about Big Get A Star again. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about how field cards work and stuff during the meta cooler discussion. But again, I'm just going to go through this again real quick. It's a 1-cost, 1-yellow field card. It means you can play it out. It stays in the field. If you play another field card, you have to get rid of it. That's kind of how field cards work. Again, no hate or anything for field cards in set 1 currently. And so for right now, there's no way to kill it. Again, active main, 1 cost, switch this card to rest and place 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. Choose up to 1 meta cooler with an energy cost 2 or less from the top area, from your drop area and play it. Again, works very well with meta cooler, very strong with him. Again, going to be a staple in that deck, and it's really going to enable that deck to do some really cool things and kind of get cards in the drop area quickly. Again, now you could also use this card for a couple other kind of fancy reasons again. There's really there's no downside essentially for doing this effect. And so you could do some kind of cheeky stuff with this. So it says switch this card to rest and place 1 card from the top of your deck into the drop area, and then it says choose up to 1 meta cooler. And so, the first part of the effect, it doesn't have any restrictions. And so if you wanted, you could like maybe put this in like a Vegito deck or something, use this effect to get Vegetas and Gokus in the drop area. And so you can trigger Vegito's other effect, which is if you have, I think it's 7 Vegetas or Gokus in the drop area, he gets a 5,000 buff. Again, it's a little cheeky, but it's something to remember. Just because this is obviously, meant to be paired with Meta Cooler, try to think outside of the box. Try to think of different ways we can break this card or, take advantage of at least half of this card. And I think, again, I don't imagine that being a playable scenario where you play in a Vegito deck. It is important to remember that down the road, if there's any more decks that kind of play off the drop area, that this is a way to get cards in the drop area for only 1 energy. And so that is important. But again, I'm pretty confident this is only going to be seen played in the Meta Cooler decks. And, it's just something I want to kind of draw attention to, something fun to talk about for discussion. And so again, for all those reasons, I'm going to give Big Get A Star a 2-star. I think it's a very good card, and I think it's going to see play in the Meta Cooler deck, but probably not see any more play outside of that. All right, guys, so that's it for the leader and extra card discussion for the yellow spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Union Force. If you guys have any questions, discussion, if you don't agree with any of my star ratings, just let me know in the below. I love to hear from you guys. I love to see it. Also, guys, I'm going to have a little surprise for you guys on Saturday tomorrow. I'm not really going to talk too much about it, but I will say that tomorrow, Saturday, on the channel, I will have a little surprise for you guys. I usually don't release videos on Saturday, but it's something that not very many people are familiar with, so I wanted to kind of draw some attention to. Also, next week, I have a new deck tech coming. It's been a deck that I've worked on for a long time, and again, guys, I don't like to just throw decks out. I like to build a deck, and I like for it to be kind of unique, and then really play test it and get a good feel of the deck so I can really talk to you guys about it. And so that deck tech will be coming Thursday, and I'm very excited for you guys to see the deck. I can't wait to see what you guys think. Again, guys, thank you all so much for the support, guys. We are almost to 300 subscribers in 2 weeks. That is insane. Thank you guys again so much for the love, so much for the support. It means the world to me. Also, guys, don't forget to check out the battle card video as well, and I will see you guys tomorrow, actually. I'll have a video up tomorrow, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, guys. See ya.